Hello, this week on Five Brilliant Things, something slightly different. You won't know this guy, but I nearly killed him. It was a kaleidoscope of brilliance. We have the American film director and friend of mine, Joe Maggio. You are the only guest that we've had on the show that I've had a major part in nearly killing.
I think so.
And now you're doing the Edinburgh Festival to tell that story. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's it.
He's survived being attacked by these wild dogs. And he says, look, Dad, there's wild dogs who are chasing me when I'm at work as a 9-year-old delivering papers at 6 a.m. And what was your dad's advice?
He gave me a gun. I was an altar boy. So in the Catholic Church, there's the priest and then there's two altar boys that sort of assist the priest in the mass.
So like backup dancers.
Yeah,
to the priest's Diana Ross.
Yes.
So you were a pip.
Yeah, exactly. But this priest was definitely on the creepy side of things, for sure.
And does that make you, looking back on things, make you think that you must have been an ugly child? Joe Maggio, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I think you are the only guest that we've had on the show that I've had a major part in nearly killing.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the audience very quickly
Absolutely.
how I nearly killed you?
Well, I went to your stag-do
Well done for
in
using
Las
the phrase
Vegas.
stag.
Stag-do.
Doesn't
We say
come-
bachelor party, but okay, stag-do.
Which is interesting, really, isn't it? Because do British men on a stag do look like
No,
stags?
no, they don't.
What do you think?
Escaped lab monkey.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah. But so we're on a stag.
So we're on the stag-do, and
you were what, 86 then? Or?
I was 52 years old.
Yeah, wow.
And I would say the average age on the stag-do was maybe 30, was it? Or yeah.
Probably. And Dan Atkinson,
Yeah.
Hello, you see him here. You feel him.
you were also there.
Yeah.
We were all in Vegas.
Yeah. I had never been to a stag-do. I'd never been to a stag-do
You had no business being
Yes.
there.
I had no business being
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
I
Some
assumed I
people-
was going to it was going to be relaxing.
Yeah. Ludicrous.
Yeah.
And basically what happened, we had a classic 4-day British bender.
Yes.
And you tried to keep up with a bunch
Absolutely.
of children.
Yes.
And basically you got a pulmonary embolism
Yes.
and nearly died,
Yes.
but didn't.
Didn't die.
And then started doing gigs. And now you're doing the Edinburgh Festival to tell that story. Is
Yes.
that correct?
That is correct. That's it.
Wouldn't
in a
it
nutshell.
be brilliant? There's a little bow. If at the end of the Fringe, I appeared and shot you in the head. Wouldn't that be the fantastic? Good night. That's how the entire run should end. Maybe every night you kind of go, is he in?
Exactly.
And there's just a threat. There's just a red light appears and you go, I gotta go.
Yeah. No, I was like the Pink Panther. I'll come in. I'm looking for Kato. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm desperately glad you didn't perish.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see the Edinburgh show. I'm incredibly excited to see the 5 things that you've picked. You're a dear friend of mine. What's interesting about you is, I think for some people this is a struggle to say, what are the 5 things that I love? You get so excited by things that I have no idea what your 5 brilliant things could be. So with that in mind, let's go through the ones that have made the cut. What
Exactly.
is your first brilliant thing?
My first brilliant thing.
I was just seeing if I could kill him. I was just seeing if I could kill him. I apologise to anyone who's got misophonia and hearing issues.
Just anyone on headphones.
Or anyone on headphones.
Someone just shat themselves on a train.
I was just trying to kill him.
We can't do that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But what is the first brilliant thing?
My first brilliant thing.
Drink that water.
Okay.
My God, he can deal with arsenic. Of course he can. He's American. What is your first
Tastes a
brilliant
little
thing?
almondy. My first brilliant thing is a bar in Buffalo, New York called the Checkers AC. And it is a classic dive bar.
And what to people that wouldn't know, what does dive bar mean?
Nothing fancy at all. It's really very basic. It's been there a long time. Has a regular crowd. It's a real local bar, not posh, not hip. And one of the hallmarks of the classic dive bar is that There's no distinct age group, for example. There are people that are in their 80s in there. There are teenagers in there, and everywhere in between.
Just
men,
drifting
women.
alcoholics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It welcomes
a real
anyone.
elk zone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason it's my first brilliant thing is because I got a job there when I was 12. A good friend of mine, his father was the owner. And this place was legendary. It was between my house and this park where we would go to play baseball and football. And so you were always cruising by it, and it always had this aura of this mystery about it. It was like an adult, like where grown men went to hang out. And
would you hear like the faint music coming from within it?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And they had a little outdoor seating area where these guys would sit and drink, quietly drink their beer. And it just seemed like that is where you went when you reached a certain age. And it was, like an initiation. So when he asked us, we were to be bar runners. And a bar runner is someone who is just basically what it sounds like. You run up and down the basement, had all the beer and the liquor, and we would run supplies up from the basement or the cellar to the bar. And
Wine rat.
yes, yeah, exactly. And I feel like it was like going to college and how to be a decent human being. Like I really learned, yeah. So like one of the things, there were so many mysteries. Like one of the things, first I'll say the clientele was so mixed. There was a lot of steel workers. There was a lot of, blue collar types, but there were doctors, there were lawyers, and everyone was just on equal footing there. And one of the things I noticed was, and to a 12-year-old, this was really mysterious. When they came in, they put their money on the bar and you just left it there. And even if you had to go out, to the phone booth, make a call, or you went to the bathroom, you just left your money on the bar. And it was the wrong thing to do. If they said, you knew how much the drink was, if you took that much out, gave it to them, put your money away, that was a real sign of disrespect. Because in the bar, you put your money down, it's a sign of trust, and it's a sign I'm going to be here for a little bit. Right. And you would pay for 2 drinks, and the third, no, no, because the bartender, you did not want to run afoul of the bartender. No one ever misbehaved in the bar. And you put your money down, and it was such a beautiful thing. And so there'd be these piles of money on the bar, and you could, and no one ever touched it, and it was a real. It was trust,
That never happened in the UK. The only time you put money down on a pool table and putting that 50p down, that was sacred. Whoever put the 50p down first, if somebody tried to muscle in and go, no, that's my 50p, it was despicable.
Yeah.
But I don't think, you probably spent time in a bar as a child, Dan. Did you ever see this?
No, of course. No, you just give your money, you get your money. But there's American bars very different with the tipping culture as well.
Yes.
The money goes just differently, right?
Well, this is but as
that's part of it. The tip that's part of why you leave your money there.
Right.
And then at the end, after so you'd buy 2 beers, and then the third one they say was always on the arm. It was always the barman would cover that one. You didn't pay for that one. And if you went beyond that, and he would just take money from that pile. And if you needed to add money, you'd add money to that pile. And then when it was over, you'd check your pile out and you'd take a few maybe, and you always had to leave the tip.
Yeah.
But just seeing all those piles of money, and I had the same thought you had, like, well, isn't someone going to steal it? It was a real education. Yeah.
But did you have like bar snacks in the fetid dump in which you grew up?
Yes, they did. In fact, they were famous for their roast beef sandwich, and that was one of the things we would have to do is shuttle these beefs up, and they would put it.
When you say
on
beefs,
like
a cow.
A roast.
yeah, exactly.
A roast.
Yeah.
And where it would be sitting on this filthy cutting board behind the bar, and it was in Buffalo. It's called a beef on weck. It's a famous Kimmelweck bun, which is like a salty, I don't know, it comes from Germany or something. And these sandwiches were outstanding with horseradish on them, but also regular salty snacks. Chips.
Go on.
Did the wine rat at 12, the 12-year-old Joe Maggio,
Yes.
was he drinking?
Well, this is what would happen. They had a tube at the bar upstairs. There was a little hole, and they would throw the bottles down there, and they would go down this chute, and they would land in this catchment area. And the first few would break, and then that broken glass would cushion the rest of the bottles. And our job was to go down there and get the empty cases and sort those bottles out and put them. And when you were down there, that's also where the cooler was, where the bottles of beer were. And that's, yes, at 12, it was understood that we would be cracking into some beers.
What were you paid then?
I don't really remember. It wasn't much, but it felt like a ton of money. And it was really whatever the bartender, decided to give us at the end of the night. Yeah.
And does that culture, presumably it doesn't now because who's got cash, but that culture of wandering in and slapping your cash down?
I think it's dying. It's certainly, I know in New York, the bars, it's a problem now that with blip, blip. Everyone just wants to do their one little phone click. Just when I go into a bar like that, what I want is that sense of trust. I want to know that I want the barman to know I'm there to drink. And if he treats me well, there's going to be a good tip at the end. And I'm trusting that he's going to keep an eye on things. And
would you overhear conversations?
Absolutely.
Because that must be, see, that's one of my favorites. I didn't work in a pub when I was 12, but my uncle used to have these parties on Boxing Day, and you would be 11, 12, and you'd hear these...
Yes.
These beautiful, just too adult, but so exciting.
Yeah. Like there were two things you learned right away that in the bar at Chuckers, you don't brag. Like if anyone, like they would field softball teams and volleyball teams and they would play against other bars. And if anyone ever got sort of puffed up about what they were doing, they were destroyed. But if you were down, if you were feeling down, if someone had died in your family, if you lost your job, whatever, that was the place you wanted to be. They would sort of lift you up. It was this great equalizing force, and also being cheap. Like that was like the worst thing you could be, would be to be sort of stingy at the bar, not to buy around, or and they understood if you were and they somehow knew, like you could tell from the conversations that someone was maybe having a hard time, so everyone looked out for that person. And that was where, like, if someone was getting married, they would go to Checkers beforehand, and then they'd end up there, at the end of the night.
It's funny because I grew up on the Cheers version of the American bar. It's that kind of square shape. Yeah. And everyone has their seat and people are kind of talking back and forth.
Yeah.
That's really, we have a thing in England called old man pubs where people want to go, which I've never really understood because I don't really enjoy hanging out with old men.
Yeah.
And yet, Dan instantly looks horrified because I would imagine you love an old man pub.
Give me a deck of cards, a pint of something warm and alcoholic, and an old man.
Checkers wasn't necessarily that way. You could go in there and strike up a conversation with someone, but you could also just go in there and sit and be alone if you wanted to. There was no TV. And remember, this was like pre-cell phone, right? So you would just go in and you would, stand at the bar if you wanted to, and just have your drink. But
what role was that drink? Was it just a leveler, just to kind of just ease the day off before you go back to the family?
I think so. That was a lot. There was like a rush hour at a certain hour, like after work, it would be full. And then it would sort of, like at dinner time it would empty out. And then at night, that's really when you wanted to be there because that was really exciting. And then the bouncer would come in, the doorman, and...
so that's your dream pub is this kind of small, dank, dusty place where conversation can take place.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to. So for me, if we're talking dream pubs, I think there should be a room where you can do psychedelics. Where you can do ayahuasca or DMT.
That's very private, though, isn't it? It's not very convivial. Because I don't have access to your trip, right?
Sure.
So you just want me there
you're right.
Your hand.
In many ways, it's a bit like a silent disco. Only I'm shitting myself and I'm saying I think I'm better. But we were just talking about the concept of a perfect pub. And I just think like that, I'd rather that in the corner than a dartboard.
Wow.
is what I'm saying.
Interesting.
For someone you could trust, like
Yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
sort of a therapist in the. But listen,
I don't think it's a pub you're after.
I'm really chasing this idea. But the idea, okay, I'm after somewhere where you can go and you can take psychedelics.
yeah.
And there's someone that you trust. But there's also an area where you can go and drink, and there's people that you trust. Because
Well,
the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I love the idea of going to this fictitious place that we all grew up on, where you can just go in, you can get chatting, you meet a mate, you meet a friend for one night, and you just.
I think people listening will recognise that idea existing in Britain a lot.
Do you?
It's very hard to have access to that club if you have had your own TV show for years.
Right.
It's true.
Okay, so you then become that.
You're a novelty.
Yeah, that's kind of
There to
interesting.
be prodded and poked.
Yeah, do you know, it's very, because I've seen all of Chappelle's specials, and he very often talks about that, about kind of, I'm in a bar on my own having a drink, and I think exactly that of like, well, that must be mental
Yes.
for that bar, because everyone's like, Dave Chappelle. I mean, I went out for a drink yesterday, and the barman came up to me and was like, "Fucking hell, Russell Crowe's outside apparently." And you're like, I think I may be Russell Crowe. But he's like, "Oh right," like that. It was such a letdown. What is your next brilliant thing?
My next brilliant thing is the film La Dolce Vita, which
Right, I know nothing about this film.
so it's sort of like I'm trying
Louis
to.
porno. What are we dealing with?
It's a Bluey. No, it's 1960. It's a Fellini film, and if you like in film circles, it's considered like people would roll their eyes, like it's like the McDonald's of art films.
Right.
But I think it is the best film ever made.
Wow.
And it's a film that I watch at least twice a year, and it's something that I'm just trying to divine. There's so much in it. It's one of those films that I watched it, and as a filmmaker, I watch it and I think, what's the point of even trying to make this? He's done it. Fellini has made the perfect film.
Right.
Like it's been done. But if I can describe just the opening image, I have this theory about like great films. You can tell like the entire film is contained in the opening image, the opening montage.
Right.
And like everything is there, the great themes that they're going to be, wrestling with.
Right.
You can divine them right from the beginning. And in La Dolce Vita opens with a helicopter carrying a giant statue of Jesus over Rome. And it's this enormous thing, and everyone's looking up, and it's casting these long shadows on the ground, and the children are running and chasing the helicopter. And then there's this follow helicopter of this journalist played by Marcello Mastroianni. His name's Marcello in the film, and he's got a photographer, and they're covering the story of this Jesus statue. It's being brought to the Vatican.
Yeah.
And it's this magnificent shot, black and white, beautiful photography. And they're following it to the Vatican. And at some point, they pass a rooftop where these women in bikinis are sunning themselves. And Marcello has them circle back, and he lets Jesus go on to the Vatican. And he's hovering over, trying to get the number of these girls on the roof so that he can call them later. And that is the movie in a nutshell. It's that tension between the sacred and the profane, and how do you balance that in life? This driving toward the sublime, towards things that are transcendent, but just being dragged down by things that are carnal, and the entire movie is this in chapters as this guy, this character, this journalist wrestles with these two forces, and I find that has been that's been like the defining battle of my life. And so when you watch the film,
So if you were getting a hand job off a lady dressed as Jesus, where does that place the journalist? Presumably that's his meta. I found it now. So you say that you've wrestled with that,
well, it's just
or you find that interesting, that kind of that we are all after. Okay, human beings are after kind of perfection, and yet human beings like a drink and a rut,
yes,
and a leer. And a
well, we
squeeze.
come up against our limitations of the things that we need, the comforts, the loyalties to certain people, and it's just, it's just so hard to hit those high notes. And in the film, he comes close, but there's always something, that, like, there's this one sequence that gets me every time. He's this jet setting. It was the birth of paparazzi, for example. And he's got this young photographer that's always with him. He calls him paparazzo. So that's where the term paparazzi comes from. And he's always trying to get the scoop and trying to, be on top of the next hot story. But it's usually involving something really tawdry, something celebrity related. Yeah. The prince is out with someone other than his wife, get a photograph of it. And so they're out, prowling around. And he shows up at this, at this cafe, this crowded cafe, and someone says, "Your father's here." And he's like, "What? His father lives in some small town somewhere, and he happens to be in Rome on business." And so Marcello, this jet-setting, dashing guy in his Triumph sports car, finds his father, and they have this night. It's one of these magical nights where they go out, and the father wants to go to this old cabaret, and they go to the cabaret, and Marcello realizes, like, God, I've never really known my father, and you realize he wants to. This night is magnificent, and he knows one of the dancers is at this cabaret, and she says, "Come back to my place. We're gonna have spaghetti." And the father's really charming. It's like, I never knew how charming my father was. And they decide it's 4 a.m. They're going to go back to this woman's house and have spaghetti. And the father goes with this young woman. And Marcello's like just so admiring of his father. And he takes the long way to get there so that his father might have a little time alone with this young woman. And when they get there, the dancer's like, "Where have you been? Something's happened. Your father's had some sort of attack." And they get upstairs, and the shot is through the door, and it's the father sitting there from behind. His hair is a little bit fluffed up, and he just looks so defeated. And it's just the end of the dream. And of course, the evening could not end any other way. And so he comes so close to this moment of transcendence, but then just our humanity, it brings it down to reality.
Right. Now, given that you are both a director and also kind of a professor of film, are you taught the academia of that, or do you scent it? Like, does the everyday person watching that film feel that?
I think they do. I mean, my mother, who never went to college, she would watch these films. She would watch films from people like John Cassavetes, who's considered a very difficult director. And she was really, really moved and understood. I think the great ones, they're working on a level that anyone, picks up on it, for sure.
And you watch it you'd say you watch it once or twice a year?
I will sit, and it's usually a night when I know I'll be alone. I make myself, I do the same thing every time. Spaghetti, I get a bottle of wine, I sit down, and I just put it on. I've got it. I own the Blu-ray, and it's like going to church. I just love it.
Everyone has that, don't they? Everyone has a film that is this kind of, it's really sacred, and they can be really silly films as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? It could be like Zoolander or whatever.
Do you have a film that matters?
Well, the funny thing is, we both share a film. I really love both the film and the novella, A River Runs Through It. I think
magnificent.
Oddly, of all the films, I think I've watched that the most.
Yeah.
I really love cinema. There's something lovely about having your hand held. So the fact that you've given me, and hopefully people listening, that kind of tip, it's really exciting to go, okay, I'll give that a spin. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
It just happens very rarely, because we're all terrified to say, this is a thing I like, you might like it. But that era, of kind of mixtapes that we used to have when you were young, like, here's some songs, I think you'll love them.
Yeah.
Kind of, we should do that with, we should be forced to do that with strangers.
I come
just on the tube. Here's 5 films I love. you know.
But I often will recommend a film, and people come back to me and say, "Why did you recommend it to me? It was terrible. I hated it."
That's an awful experience, though, when you've really recommended a film and you're sat there in utter silence
Yeah.
with the person, and it's clearly not going great.
Yeah. I once recommended a Lars von Trier film to a girl I just started dating, and she hated it, and I had to break up with her. The Element of Crime, one of his very early films. She went on and on about how awful it was, and I was just like backing out the door. I just couldn't be with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask? It's a bit of a cliche that the modern citizen of America is in a search for heritage that the country fundamentally can't provide. Your surname Maggio has a ring of something Italian. This favourite film of yours is one of the archetypal depictions of a certain version of Rome.
Yes. Yeah.
Is this you searching for a meaning in your heritage?
The old country.
Well, that's a great question because
Because you sat there eating spaghetti and drinking wine. It's true.
The clues were there, Charles.
Yeah, exactly.
here's the thing. There's
Is Mama there?
you guys ever
Presume
watched
you were
this?
late for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, The Sopranos. You've seen The Sopranos.
Yeah, I'm
So
aware
there's
of it.
one of the great episodes of The Sopranos. Tony and Paulie Walnuts go to Italy.
Yes.
And they think it's going to be this thing where they're embraced as, fellow countrymen, fellow Italians. And the Italians just think they're clowns and they don't like the food and nothing is what they thought. I'm so aware because I've been to spent a lot of time in Italy. I'm American. I know that. But there are things. I am also so Italian. I see when I go to Sicily or to, anywhere in southern Italy, I'll see someone, I'll be like, oh my God, that is me. It is there. But I'm not searching for that heritage.
What things?
Like the body. I could work out every day for the next 5 years with the greatest trainer ever. I will always have the body of a Sicilian tuna fisherman. I can't escape it. It's just my face will always look this way. I see like when there have been moments in southern Italy where I was like, oh my God, I'm looking into a mirror at everyone in this cafe.
Yeah. I went to a bar full of German lesbians. It was just like me.
But also, I know this is a cliche, but I like everything I'm doing to be just a little bit illegal, a little bit dirty. Do you know, like if it's too
Very Sicilian.
Yes, I respect it because as long as I'm kind of in the right, I feel like there's got to be a little something greasy about it, a little something.
Yes. Yeah. I know you very well, and I now see that.
Yeah.
It also explains your fondness of fly tipping. Now, what is your next brilliant thing?
My next brilliant thing is my kids.
Okay.
And what I mean by this is, I'm at a point now with my kids where my son's 13.
So he's in the daiquiri era.
Yeah, he's started drinking daiquiris, and my daughter is.
Would you let your son go to a bar and order a beer and a shot and sit there with a man he doesn't know?
I would. In fact, when we go out, I very often will say to my son, hey, have a sip of my beer. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm like, no, go ahead. It's fine. You can have a sip. And
I've already done 5 shots.
Dad, I'm coming up on these edibles. I'm not sure I should mix it.
But now I don't know where I was. Oh, no. So my kids, my son's 13. My daughter's 17. She's going away to school. And so there's there's all these changes going on. And I'm just reflecting on, when my daughter was born. All right, this maybe will be slightly controversial, but there's this, before you have kids, everyone tells you, oh man, your life it's going to change. You've never known love like this. When you see that child, you will be transformed. And that was not the case for me. Like I love my daughter to distraction, but when she was born, I did not feel that. It was like, wow, there's 2 humans walked into the hospital, 3 are leaving. and I'm responsible for this third one now. And
What a beautifully autistic way of describing job.
Well, I mean, but it
And
is
now we are through.
so true.
Did you feel?
I thought something was wrong with me.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of people have
Yes.
that feeling. I wasn't like that. I felt instant love, but I know a lot of people that have that, and it is that, particularly as the man, you realize you're a sous chef.
Mm-hmm.
You know, initially your job is to provide for the mum, and you know, but it must be a scary feeling if you're not feeling.
It was terrifying.
Yeah,
it was terrifying.
Is something wrong with me? Yeah,
and you know, and there's so much to do, as you know. I mean, it's, you know, just learning how to do. Would you say diapers or nappies? Like how to change a diaper, how to swaddle a baby. Like, what do you do if they're fear that they're not breathing? It's this constant thing. Yeah. You are constantly tending to this infant, and I thought that I was going to be in this blissful cloud state, but it was so hard. It was very, very difficult, and then it changes. And one day they make you laugh, and you're like, oh wow, this child has personality, you know. So they go from these little creatures that like literally are like shitting on you, like when, you know, changing the diaper. My daughter once, I don't know what happened, just it was like a fire hose of shit, like in the chest. Like you go from that to now she is this incredibly elegant, super smart, just so charming young woman. She's going to this.
And you're so hairy. There's probably remnants of the feces still on you.
Bits. But and what you realize is that it's this constant evolution with the kids, and it just blows my mind that they go from this almost inanimate creature to walking the earth with powers that I would never. For example, she's going to this college, Haverford College. It's very, very competitive, very difficult to get into. And when we went to visit it, I was like, oh my, like this was the kind of place I could never have dreamed of going to. And I'm always a little intimidated in these places because you know, growing up, we grew up fairly, you know, very working class. And I just was aware.
There's a beautiful story that you told me about that really, that like what I love about spending time with you is when you talk about your childhood, it's like an American Dickensian novel. But the story you told me about that there used to be wild dogs roaming around Buffalo when Joe was a child, and he had a paper round, and these wild dogs would chase him, and he'd try and escape the wild dogs and jump on a car. And then a guy saw him and said, "Get the fuck off my car." So then Joe had to run away from these wild dogs.
Yeah.
So sort of get why you're drinking at 12.
But it gets so much better. So Joe comes in, he's survived being attacked by these wild dogs, and he says to his dad, and how old are you at this stage?
God, I think I was 9.
9 years old. And he says, "Look, Dad, there's wild dogs who are chasing me when I'm at work as a 9-year-old delivering papers at 6 a.m. And what was your dad's advice?
He gave me a gun.
It's so mad. But what I love about the insanity of that is that your dad gave you a gun, but also gave you a choice of going, you will have to shoot a dog tomorrow morning in order to survive. Yeah. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
And what is that? Is that the 60s?
No, this is the so if I was 9, this was mid 70s. 1974, 1975.
And what I love about that, so 1975, you're a 9-year-old, you're going out with a gun, you never let the gun off. Years later, you say to your dad, "Gee, what were you thinking giving me a gun when I was 9? And your dad's reply?
It wasn't loaded.
So he didn't even offer help.
Oh, God.
What a story.
Click, click.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not. Well, yeah. Other idiots would run away from this dog with rabies, but my dad's given me. Oh God. It's extraordinary though. It's
But the thing with my daughter and my son right now is what I realize. They go from being these almost, these things that you just have to constantly care for, to suddenly they make you laugh. Suddenly they have a personality. And now I find like I never want to do anything that would make them ashamed of me. They're making me a better person. Like they're making me like, what am I doing? People have been asking me, why are you doing Edinburgh? Like, what is going on? You teach film, you're a filmmaker. And I'm doing it, I think, as an example for my kids. Like I want them to know that sometimes you just gotta saddle up and go do something kind of wild and out of the ordinary and not be afraid of that. And so there are these great, I don't know how you would describe it, but they're reflections of yourself in many ways.
Yeah.
And they're like an inspiration. Like my son has taken up mountain climbing or rock climbing now. And I went to see him the other day and I was just astonished. Like my little son is like hanging from this cliff by a piece of rock the size of a Tic Tac. But, he's got his hands are so strong now. And he has to flip his legs up. He's like hanging upside down by these tiny little holds. I once held him in the palm of my hand. It's just extraordinary to me. Seeing my daughter walk, I had this vision of her walking on this tour of this campus. And I just couldn't believe it was my daughter, how confident she was and beautiful. And just, this was this rarefied place where the air feels different to me. She is just completely at home. It's inspiring. It's absolutely inspiring.
Has she had a boyfriend or girlfriend?
Not that we know of. We believe so, but she's kept it under wraps.
That's interesting.
Maybe. Well, my son likes to tease her.
You tap it, they say.
So but like you talk about your daughter with such reverence that it's really bad news for whoever tries to take her away from you.
That's true. You're absolutely right. I can't wait for the day.
Oh, really?
Like, I've got a gun here, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do her doggy style. I am really sorry. I'm really sorry.
You're such a degenerate. I knew
sorry.
you were going to go there at some point.
I'm sorry. What's your next brilliant thing? I'm sorry.
So the next brilliant thing is I was thinking of my mother, and specifically the time.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's hard to go from.
Yeah.
The time my mother told off the head nun at my elementary school.
Interesting. Why? What happened?
So I went to this Catholic school that was connected to the church that we went to,
right.
And the nuns and the priests really ruled the roost, and they had a dress code. You had to wear like a blue tie, white shirt, blue pants, and a blue jacket or blue sweater, and but this was a very working class, like poor community, and. I think I had one pair of blue pants maybe. And I don't know, something happened one day and those blue pants were not available. So my mother gave me a pair of plaid pants and I went to school and the head nun saw me in my plaid pants and took me out of class and sent me home. And my mother said...
And you're back in the door.
Exactly. And my mother... was like, "What are you doing home?" And when I told her that Sister Timothy had sent me home,
He was called Sister Timothy.
Sister Timothy. Yeah,
Wow, that
I'm
sounds
not sure
like
why.
a nickname for Tim Henman.
Yeah,
Doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
So she said, "Come with me." She marched me back, and we walked in. And this woman, Sister Timothy, was like, we feared her. She walked in, and she said to her, what gives you the ass to send my son home? How dare you embarrass him? These pants are clean. They're pressed. This is what we have. Don't you ever do this again. And to see this nun that we all feared quaking, and that was it. Never happened again. And I pick that as one of my brilliant things because that really is my mother. And I realize it's that sort of that fierce protection of your kids, a kind of loyalty.
And presumably your mum, not like, was it extraordinary because your mum wasn't like a mouthy person?
No, she was not. But she was tough.
But it came like
Yes.
she knew the code.
Yes.
And the code was that nun had done wrong, so she gets to tell it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she did it also with this priest. I was an altar boy, and they would take us out of school if there was a funeral to serve.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and they would. And yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Yep.
So they would take us out of school if there was a funeral and we had to serve during the day. And then if I was taken to serve a funeral before lunch, I couldn't eat my lunch because I was so depressing, or I felt that like the atoms from the dead body were coming off and going like into my mouth or something. I had all these, or if I saw a hearse, you know, I could not eat my lunch. So my mother wrote a note to the priest saying, you know, Joey is not to serve a funeral if it's before lunch.
What do you mean? What does to serve mean?
So in the Catholic Church, you know, there's the priest and then there's two altar boys that sort of assist the priest in the mass. So we hold the
backup dancers.
Yeah,
To the priest's Diana Ross.
Yes.
You were a Pip.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the midnight train to Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So my mother writes this note to the priest saying that I'm not to do this before lunch. And the priest
So specific.
writes a note home saying, "Dear Mrs. Maggio, you know, death is a natural part of life, and Joey has to understand this, so he will continue serving these masses." And my mother writes a note back, "Dear Father Dennis, while it's true that death is a natural part of life, I think it's more important that my 9-year-old son or 10-year-old son eats his lunch because he's a growing boy. So there will be no more, you know." And we didn't. I was never. So she just stood up to. She was never. You know,
She stood up to authority.
yes.
When the authority had overstepped the line.
Yeah. But this priest was definitely on the creepy side of things for sure.
And does that make you, looking back on things, make you think that you must have been an ugly child? Tell you what, it's a good job Claviclia wasn't around there. I look so hot now.
Yeah.
Good God. It's funny though, isn't it? It's like those moments, you know, if you don't have a particularly confrontational parent, when they do something extraordinary, it sends shivers down your spine, because again, going back to the bar in Buffalo, you go, that's the code. That's the. I remember my mum did a similar thing. I kind of got into a bit of sort of trouble at school, and I was terrified that I was gonna have the shit kicked out of me by a kid in the year above, and we were playing a football game after school, and I had the walk home. I had the walk from the football pitch to the car, where it was utterly perilous, and my mum, who's 5 foot tall, just came to watch, and she was like, "I'll walk with you." And it was just, and it was so like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But she was just fearless, very but not a particularly brave woman, but was like, well, no one's gonna beat you up when I'm there. It's fine.
You know, my son, I mean, hopefully my daughter as well, but they've never been in a fight like that. Like the kids, you know what? Before the age of 6, I had been in so many like actual fist fights. If that happened today, it would be in the newspaper. I mean, I was in a fight once I was in first grade, this kid, Rusty Abrams, and I had him down on the ground and was like pummeling him, and he reached behind, and there was a new tree that had like the cables kind of holding it up, and it was held in by these stakes. He pulled his stake out and I have this scar here, and that was a nothing. That was if that happened today, it would be all over it would be world news or something. Like,
Don't you think?
Kids don't fight anymore.
Yeah, but there's a lot of school shootings where you're from.
That's true.
That's actually a really quaint story.
Yeah, exactly. That would be like, oh gosh, things are getting better, I suppose.
Well, it is true. It's either school
kills
shooting or
werewolf.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your final brilliant thing?
My final brilliant thing is the album Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, yeah.
Yes. And I say that I think it's the perfect album. And it's an album. It's something I put on. I listen to it in full. I do a lot of driving. I teach in Boston, so I have these 4-hour drives between once a week between New York City and Boston, and invariably I put on Born to Run. And I think what it is I love about it is like at that era of Bruce Springsteen, he just absolutely, it feels like he crawled into my soul and like took notes. Like that experience of growing up, like he grew up in Freehold, New Jersey, very similar to Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, New York, when I was a kid, was a dying industrial town. And there are just experiences, there are certain lyrics in Born to Run and all of Springsteen of that era where it's like, oh my God, like I know that. I absolutely know that. Like the opening, the first song on Born to Run is Thunder Road. And he describes, it's like this girl walking out, like the screen door slams, Mary's dress sways, like a vision, she dances across the porch as the radio plays. Just the fact that it's a radio playing, the porch. Like, I grew up in a town where people had porches. They sat on their porches. The screen doors, everyone had a screen door. And then the opening of that song, it's basically about him trying to get this girl to go out with him. And he says, show a little faith, there's magic in the night. You ain't a beauty, but hey, you're all right. And it's that like you're not perfect, but you'll do. In some way, it's kind of funny, but that accepting of we have no right to the great things, but we'll make do with the things that are okay, that are all right. It just goes right through me because, when I was growing up, I always had that sense. It's sort of like with seeing my daughter in this rarefied space of this elite, college. I just never felt that I had a right to that. And I feel like Springsteen takes those experiences and he elevates them to it's almost like an opera. And
have you seen the Springsteen on Broadway?
Oh, it's magnificent.
It's really great.
Yeah.
It's like he is a really gifted storyteller. So he kind of tells these beautiful stories. He tells a story about the bar that's not dissimilar to the vision of the bar that you described earlier, and then plays a beautiful song connected to it. It's really good. I would recommend it if anyone's not seen it, even if you're not a fan necessarily of Bruce Springsteen. It just is kind of it's almost like he's a stand-up comedian / storyteller, and then does a beautiful song. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and just the economy of his writing. It's just in one sentence, he can capture like my entire childhood. I feel like, and every song is just. I'll be driving. I mean, I'm going to be 60 this year. I'm driving along. I'm shouting the lyrics at the top of my voice. And it changes over time. Like when I was a kid listening to Springsteen, it was almost, I identified with the characters. It was like, I'm someone, I want to get out of this place. And going out at night is one way. Getting into a car and driving is another way to escape, this banal existence. But also having a dream and trying to get people to believe in you. I very much saw myself as that kind of character. And then you get a little older and it changes and it becomes more about, like what is my life amounted to? And, he writes about that a lot, feeling, stories, ballads of people who, maybe life hasn't turned out the way they thought it would, and so it's this thing. It's just this ongoing. It's sort of like La Dolce Vita. You watch it. It's a different film when you watch it at different phases in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's a form of Americana, Bruce Springsteen, but
Yeah.
with the grit.
Yeah.
How do you square that Americana love of America with the current voting state of the country?
I mean, that's a difficult question.
We've had this
Yes.
conversation many
Yes.
times, and what's
I
fascinating.
guess I haven't checked whether or not you're Team Trump.
Oh, Dan.
But
Please.
but we were saying before, we very often had this conversation where it's incredibly frustrating that America has been reduced to:
Yes.
are you for Trump or are you against Trump? Are you Biden or are you blue or red? Do you like UFC or not? But it fails to. We don't really talk about the magnificence that
Yes.
country has created.
But that's what I love about Springsteen is that I feel like that's what he's talking about. It's for me, I had a phase in my late teens, early 20s where I didn't want to be associated with that kind of working class. I guess I hate to say it was a little embarrassing. Like I didn't want to be known as someone from this working class place like Buffalo. And then, Springsteen, he writes about it in such a way where you feel like, yeah, there was nobility there. There was beauty there. But your question is really interesting because that experience, people from that experience, a lot of those people are voting for Trump. I don't know how you square that, but I think it's important that we not forget, and this is something that Russell and I have talked about, America has produced a lot of magnificent things, rock and roll and jazz, blues, Hollywood. I mean, you cannot forget it.
Peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
Yes.
The Fluffernutter.
Oh,
Do you know what that is?
have you ever had a fluffernutter?
Yeah, of course I have.
Magnificent.
Yeah, but it's peanut butter with marshmallow.
Fluff, marshmallow. Yeah.
Yeah, with marshmallow. See, a Fluffernutter over here. What was it you said? Be getting a blowjob off someone who wasn't very well.
That was me.
That was that.
That was all me.
Yeah, exactly. But it is interesting when but how it's become. Which side are you on?
Yeah.
But that's the same as everything. Everything has been kind of diminished to who's the goodie, who's the baddie. But it's so frustrating, isn't it, that everything about America becomes, so do you like Trump or not? Like that.
Yeah.
Like that. And yet it's the question we all ask.
Yeah.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Well, but I mean, what's the perception over here of that? I mean,
Pew, 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 dang, 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 bang, dang, 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 dang. I would say. Am I right?
Yeah, and the Trump voters are worse.
But it must be... the loudest voices are the ones that are being heard on the right and the
Yes.
left, the world over. So it's incredibly frustrating. I love that word Americana, though. We all grew up on it. It's that kind of... It's kind of schmaltzy and a bit silly, but there is... I don't know, there's something magnificent about it, but it's all faded as well. And like Americana to me, it's diners, it's kind of, it's burgers, it's Pamela Anderson, it's fucking beaches, it's rock and roll, it's Marilyn Manson, it's all this kind of madness swayed together.
yeah. But, I do have an opportunity to travel quite a bit around America and for work. And, we'll be on a shoot in somewhere in Idaho or, somewhere in middle America. And you meet these magnificent people and it's always kind of surprising. I'm like, oh, I guess not everyone here is Trumpy. They're super generous. They're kind. They're smart. They're curious. So I haven't given up hope. I can't square. I don't know how Trump got so many votes. So that's just, I mean, obviously it happened. So I'm not denying that, but I won't throw away all of the good things as well. And I think that there is a way back. I think, I don't know what that way is, but that experience that Americana, like for example, that Springsteen gets to. I think it's important. I think there's the seeds of some way out of it are in that, not forgetting that that's where we came from.
But it's just it can't be like it cannot be a full-on overcorrection
Exactly.
of what Trump's done. So, for example, you know, the UFC on the White House lawn is just repugnant.
Yes.
Roman, who fights strongest for the emperor.
Yeah.
It's just so, but you can't kind of like, right, well, what we're going to do is a play about Rosa Parks by some drag queens. You're like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like, do you know what I mean? Can we have something in the middle?
Yeah. But it's so we've talked about this. It's social media pushes everything to the extremes on the right or the left. I'm not on any social media. And so when you talk about Elon Musk, for example, I'm aware because I read articles in the New York Times where they refer to these horrible things that Elon Musk is posting on social media. I have no awareness of them. So I think that's part of it. Like, you know, we're in America, like someone like myself in America, we're looking for clues. Like, how do we right the ship? That's one of them, certainly. And just, I think what you're saying about the overcorrection, that's my fear. My fear is that now, as Trump's term is going to be coming to an end soon, I mean, it can't be soon enough, but that there's going to be this massive overcorrection. And I think that would be a horrible mistake. But
If
I
in
don't
doubt, Ryan Gosling. I
Yeah.
just think just have him do something for a bit. He seems to bring everyone together. I don't know what it is. Really enjoyed that, Joe. Best of luck at the
Thank
Edinburgh
you.
Fringe.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Joe Maggio.